from the thought of power, we will never accomplish it. So what are we saying here then? We are saying that the main thing that maintains the relationship between African and European people is a differentiation in power, a difference in power. Which means then, if we want to end white supremacy, we must end what? White power. Bring it to a close. Otherwise, you're just talking through your head.
Right.
You know, you're playing games with your mind. That's it. So then, that means, ladies and gentlemen, we now must enter on the stage where, in addition to studying history and culture and Afrocentricity and all of the other things, we must now study power and its acquisition, and we must study war as a part of it. How is white supremacy achieved and maintained? White global supremacy was attained and is maintained through the white conquest of power. What are we talking about here? People who have moved on the world stage nearly 500 years. Once powerless. You see, again, if you don't know history, we get some people who don't know history, they'll say, well, you know, this is the white man's world, and they assume that he's always ruled it, and he always will. But one thing about reading history tells you immediately, the white man has been in a position of power only a fraction of a second in world time. Therefore, white power was not divinely intended. It was not created with the creation of the world, or they would have had it from the beginning. But they didn't have it from the beginning. And they will not have it in the end. Whites conquered power, and they increased power. Now we then have to look at this conquest of power and the processes that the ruling white class uses to maintain domination in the world. In other words, now we have to study subject matter, power as subject matter. We must not only compile what has happened to us, that's important, but now we have to move beyond compilation of complaints and injuries and so forth, and begin to move in terms of how we are going to end the sources of our complaint. If we are to end white global supremacy, we must again neutralize or balance white power. To achieve this end, we must study power as subject matter. How it is achieved and how it is preserved. See, this is not multicultural education, as I told you the last time here. And I keep telling you again and again, African-centered education is not multicultural education. We are not educating our children just as one little culture among many. We're not educating them just to sing other people's songs and learn about other people's customs and rituals. We said at the center of an African-centered education is that you must learn how to solve your problem. Understand? And no education is any good, multicultural, monocultural, or what have you, for black people if it does not solve the problem of the bringing to a close white supremacy and oppression of black people. And this goal of bringing white power to a close begins to set the curriculum of African-centered education. Understand? And that's why you're going to study war as a part of your African-centered education. That's why you study the development of power as a part of African-centered education. And the preservation of power and the organization of power, because you need power to overcome your enemies and to achieve your liberation. We must come to know intimately the organization, the weaknesses, and strength of the white power system, and develop appropriate strategies, organization, and resources for ending the oppressive presence of white people in the world. Got to do it. And therefore you must ask yourself, what is power? And begin to look at it. And we know that white power is systemic, that is, it is a system, and it is overt and covert. In its covert nature, and I'm quoting here, and I'm using a book by Thomas Dye, D-Y-E, Power and Society, 3rd edition. This is something I find interesting. The European will put the means by which he can be overthrown right in your hand. Yes, definitely. The European gives us freedom of speech. And what did I tell you? It gives you freedom of speech only if the speeches that are most pertinent to your liberation are ignored. Yeah. And in a sense, during the slavery period and these other periods, the black mind has been organized in such a way where, in a sense, we are only free to do the wrong thing. Yeah. So now we'll let you talk about us and talk about white global supremacy and call Bush a dog and so forth and all of that, because the largest percentage of your people will yawn and go to sleep on it. Yeah. But you watch, as soon as you wake up and start listening and really taking it in, you'll see how much freedom of speech you have. Oh, yeah. He knows right now you express your freedom by saying, I don't have to read. Because I'm a what? Free man. Yeah. I don't have to study power because I can do what I want to, and I just don't want to study power. Yeah. You watch how we express what? Freedom. And you'll see that that freedom is expressed in such a way that it maintains a system of oppression. That's why I tell you that we feel freest when we are most enslaved. It has to be that way if the system can let you run out here without pointing guns at you all the time. It must have implanted within our own mind an orientation in a sense so that we voluntarily, in expressing our freedom and independence, keep ourselves in jail. You see? So now you got to study and read. It's covert. Ordinary men and women are driven by forces in society that they neither understand nor control. These forces embodied in governmental authorities, economic organizations, social values and ideologies, accepted ways of life, and learned patterns of behavior. However diverse the nature of these forces, they have in common the ability to modify the conduct of individuals and to control their behavior and to shape their lives. What are we saying here? When I talk about African-centered education, I talk about an explicit curriculum and an implicit curriculum. And it's the implicit one that does the damage. You see, the one that you don't notice. You see, that organizes your behavior subtly. The very organization of the school, the very organization of the classroom, the very teacher-student relationship, the very time system, all those things that we take for granted are really the other curriculum that shapes and creates us. See, the lessons are superficial. And we must then question all of those things. Power is the capacity to affect the conduct of individuals through the real or threatened use of rewards and punishments. In other words, we must gain the capacity to reward our friends and do what? Punish our enemies. If you do not have that capacity, you do not have power. That's right. This has got to be developed. Power is the capacity of some persons to produce intended and foreseen effects on others. Domination does not mean total control, but the ability to set the terms under which other groups and classes must operate, which we had time to talk about that. As I told you before, I've seen many black people and many of us go into conventions dealing with the education of our children, never bothering to do what? Define what education means to us. Yes. We talk about schools without defining what schools mean to us. Consequently, we end up not finding solutions to our problems because we are operating under the definition of another people. And I tell my class all the time, once you make up your definition of what education is, you can see the solution to your children's problems. Don't tell me, but that ain't the school's role. I said, what? The school is what? Whatever you want it to be. That is your right. If the school is for you, then you define it. But when you accept this definition as made by the other people, then you'll find that there are certain things schools cannot do. You see? And this is where domination is very subtle, you see. It makes people operate in terms of those that are dominating the system. That's why you have to look at your terms. Power is essential to being. It is essential to one's sense of significance. That one counts for something, can get recognition for one's existence. Power is essential to the development of personality. When we talk about the personalities of ourselves, of our children, and of our people, recognize that these personalities that we complain so much about are personalities that develop from a sense of what? Powerlessness. In fact, power is the ability to become self-creating and self-defining. And consequently, then, if we are to be what we have the potential to be, then we must be self-defining. We must have the power to do so. We must have the power to create the conditions that can create us as a people. So we have to understand then, power is essential to life. It takes power to walk. It takes power to talk. It takes power to think. It takes power to do everything. Consequently, power is central to life itself. And you cannot reject it unless you reject life in itself. Power is never equally distributed. For power to be exercised, the power holder must control some base values. The power holder is in a position to offer those values as rewards to others or threaten to deprive others of those values. You can't have power, ladies and gentlemen, giving your money and giving your markets and giving your talents and everything else, the best that you have, to other people. Other people cannot take what you have, your material, spiritual, and other resources and cultural resources for granted. You have to husband those resources and those values that other people want, because that is your handle over them. This is your negotiating coin between you and the world. And consequently then, you must create value and you must husband value. The values are the power base, and they include physical safety. In other words, when your enemy gets too bad, you have to do what? Threaten his what? Physical safety. That's right. Deal with it. This is the reality world, ladies and gentlemen. It's ugly, but it's real. How many of us are controlled right now in terms of what?